Hello there, you absolute legends. Emma McElhinney here with Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. I am here to ruin your misconceptions about perimenopause, fat loss, and kick midlife in the face. So if you think your 40s are a drag, think again. Because every week I am going to be stripping down the myths about perimenopause. I'm serving you raw, unfiltered truths about your health and smashing misconceptions about fat loss. And a whole lot more. So if you thought you knew midlife, you don't know the half of it. Aging is inevitable, but getting old is a choice. So buckle up, grab a glass of something yummy, and let's get to it. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. And today I have an absolute beast for you, and I'm going to explain a little bit more why. Well, I don't really need to explain why it's a beast, to be fair, because it is a beast. You can probably see that from the topic and the title. But this I nearly didn't do this one, and the reason why I didn't do this one was because of a little bit of pushback I got from audience. Now, not my audience specifically, but in a Facebook group. And it actually took me a little bit by surprise. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the things that were said towards the end, because I want to get into the nitty-gritty of the content of this. Now, my intention here, when it comes to weight loss injections, a lot of people assume that because I do what I do, like I coach health, I coach menopause health, part of what I do with my clients is weight loss. And people have this assumption that me and people like me that work in health are very anti weight loss injections and are very dismissive of people that take them, and we assume that people are cheating, and that's not the case at all. And the intention of this podcast episode is to give an overview of the science of how they work, why they're good, why they're bad, and also provide some anecdotal feedback that clients of mine, and yes, I do have clients that are working with me for their health coaching while they're on weight loss injections, because it's not one or the other. It can be one or the other, but for long-term success, nothing is going to change your beliefs, habits, and behaviors like coaching will. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that I have found working with the clients over the last year. Yeah, I would say a year. And help people make their own choices, because ultimately I am not your mum. You can do what you want. But it isn't all sunshine and roses, and it's not all doom and gloom either. So let's get into it. So this is, I'm probably going to use clips of this for different platforms and whatnot. So if it cuts in and out, it's probably because my assistant has edited it. But if you don't know who I am already, now when I talked about, the pushback that I got for this, one of the things is you're not a medical professional. No, I'm not a medical professional. And I am a nutritionist. I specialize in menopause, and I am currently doing my postgrad in psychology and behavior change. So don't need to be a medical professional. And this was the challenge back that I had, is like, I actually have a family member who is a nurse, who knows jack shit about nutrition, who knows jack shit about this. So we have to be, there's a whole, to be fair, there is a whole lot of work to do at a much bigger level about, the qualifications people need to be able to do the things that they do. But for the purposes of this, I am more than qualified to deliver this information and to coach the clients that I coach who are on it. So we're digging a little bit deeper into the world of weight loss injections, and you must be in a cave or blind to have not seen stuff or seen the amazing transformations of people. If you're on TikTok, it's horrific, quite frankly, at times, like people, unqualified people dishing out discount codes for prescriptions, etc., etc., etc. So I'm going to be talking particularly about Ozempic and Mounjaro. They're the kind of big ones in the marketplace just now, and they are a bit of a game changer when it comes to the weight loss space. And my intention, as I said, I'm not your mum. You can do what you want. I want people to be educated. I want people to know what they are, why they work, how they work, if they could possibly work for you, and how can you use them responsibly, because we are seeing more and more people like starting taking them and they're losing weight on the scales at a dangerous speed, right? Because even with weight loss injections, there is a phrase that works: too fast won't last, right? So we're going to cover the positives, we're going to cover the negatives, and I'm going to be sharing, as I said, practical advice from women that have been using them, that I have been working with. And I want you to walk away from this with you might have zero change in your opinion, you might have zero change in your beliefs about them, but just listen and absorb. And if you've got any questions, you can reach me on email at emma@teamemw, or you can get me on socials, which is Emma McElhinney. Good luck spelling it. But anyway, right. So I think the best place to start is looking at how these medications actually work and the effects that they can have on your body, right? So these Ozempic and Mounjaro are medications. They were originally created to help people with type 2 diabetes. Now, type 2 diabetes is kind of known as, not always, is known as a lifestyle-orientated condition, because it is, for want of a better word, it can be, and as I'm saying, this is generalized, self-inflicted, if you like. It's lifestyle, it can be poor general health, it can be poor movement, poor nutrition, being overweight, but some people are more genetically predisposed to it. All right. Now, the medications that are out within weight loss injections are, I suppose, a group of medications that help mimic hormones in your body that help control blood sugar levels and appetite. Now, Ozempic and Mounjaro are not the same thing. Ozempic contains a drug called semaglutide. Cannot get my glutides. I'm using peptides in my face, right? And there's all these different words, and I'm trying to pronounce them, and I'm just like, blah, 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 can't do it. And Mounjaro contains something called tirzepatide. Oh my God. And they work in slightly different ways. Now, the key hormone, if you like, is called GLP-1, and that stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. And that's a hormone that bodies naturally produce in the gut after you eat. Now, most hormones are secreted in the gut. So this is just another one of those hormones that is produced in the gut. And when you are, inverted commas, I was going to say a normal person, but how many people would identify as being normal, right? When you're a person that is not taking these injections, this hormone, this natural hormone, works by telling your brain that you are full, that you've had enough. It signals that you have consumed enough food, so therefore you're less likely to overeat. Now, I can't remember the exact number here, but when I was studying nutrition, it was theorized that women on average consume up to 300 calories extra per meal because they eat too fast. Because it takes minutes, about 20 minutes, for your brain, for that hormone to fire into your brain to say, you've had enough now. Now, if you think about most of us, we're all busy, we're all eating food at our desks, we're all grabbing something in the car, we're all like eating on the run. So we're not actually sitting down and taking our time to eat. So when we are eating with speed, we are naturally going to consume more food than what we actually need, because our brain hasn't recognized that we're full yet, right? So if you were sitting down eating your food, chewing your food, taking a drink of water, and putting your knife and fork down between mouthfuls, you will find that you would get fuller easier than if you're eating in the run, right? So basically that's what that hormone does. It says, you've had enough now, please stop, right? The other thing that hormone does is it slows down your digestion. So your food stays in your stomach and decomposing, and it helps you feel fuller for longer. And the other thing that it does is it helps regulate blood sugar levels. So it encourages insulin release and reduces the release of glucagon, which can prevent blood sugar spikes. That's quite sciencey. That's not a quiz. It's not a test. You don't need to remember this. However, when we have people with type 2 diabetes, or people that are high obese on the BMI scale, these natural hormones might not be working as effectively as what they should be, right? And that's where Ozempic and Mounjaro were created, was to help mimic that GLP effects, so that it means that your body is still then able to control appetite, because you're going to feel less hungry through the day, like a inverted commas normal person not on the injections would have. Um, it helps reduce cravings, especially for those kind of high sugar, high processed, high calorie type foods, and it helps stabilize blood sugar levels, which means you're gonna, that way when you might feel you get that kind of mid-afternoon crash and you kind of like, oh my God, I need coffee and I need a donut. That proper like, I'm so tired that I need this to get me through it. It stabilizes that. Okay, so that's what that artificial hormone that it mimics your natural hormone. Okay, now I mentioned Ozempic and Mounjaro are different. So Ozempic's focus solely on mimicking that hormone. Okay, so it's really good for appetite regulation. It's really good for blood sugar control. And Mounjaro does that as well. But there is another hormone called GIP, gastric inhibitory polypeptide. This can help boost insulin sensitivity and can actually have a greater weight loss effect for some people, not all, for some people, right? And that's where a medical professional is best placed to recommend what is best for you or the person that is taking them. So when it comes to menopause, perimenopause, so from the ages 38 onwards, we've got other hormonal changes going on. We've got a reduction in fluctuations in estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. And when we have all those hormonal changes that our bodies go through naturally, that can often feel like we are hungrier. And it also feels like we've got a slower metabolism. Now, you know what I do? I help people in their 40s and the 50s to lose weight, because very often people come to me and they go, right, I'm doing all the right things, but I'm not losing any weight. Why is that? And there can be a change in metabolism, because muscle mass is reducing and we need muscle to help our metabolism. If we're reducing muscle mass, our metabolism is going to essentially slow down. So it means that any calories that we consume, any energy that we consume, if it is in a surplus of what we are using, that excess will get stored as body fat, essentially. Now, why can this help people, women in their 40s and 50s, these injections? Well, it means that, it can reduce the intensity of the hunger signals. It can be like, you might notice, some people do notice like heightened, like they get hungry really, really quickly, like all of a sudden going, oh my God, I'm absolutely ravenous and I need to eat. And I do have a phrase that I work with the clients, is that hunger is not an emergency if you're in the UK. Like if you're in, a place of famine, then yeah, hunger might be an emergency. But here it doesn't tend to be an emergency. So that's just something to bear in mind. Now, the other thing that it can do here is, because we feel fuller earlier, these injections can actually help people manage better portion control and better grazing. Like, we're not hungry enough. If you're on the injections, you might find that you are more regulated with your meal timing. Like, you're more likely to have your 3 meals a day. They might be smaller portions, but you're less likely to graze throughout the day as well. And it's often one of the big challenges that I have. Well, I don't have the that clients have when they start working with me, is this: my meals are fine, but I'm grazing in the evening, or I'm starving in the evening, or I'm eating loads of stuff out the fridge at 3 o'clock, right? So that's where that can manage. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is, in the Western world, we do tend to plate portions that are too big. If you have ever when you go to a restaurant, for example, like, not in a lovely, nice restaurant that's going to serve you tiny wee portions, but when you go to a restaurant and you're just doing normal like pub grub, you will find that the portions are massive. And we are very visual. Most people are very visual, so they tend to like see the food, the plate, and they go, right, that's what I'm eating, even though that's probably maybe twice what they actually need. And if you think about us as a generation, we were the generation of, well, we had to eat all the food in our plate. We were not allowed to leave the table unless you ate all the food in the plate. We were guilted into eating the food in our plate because there was a famine in Ethiopia at the time, and we had to be grateful and eat all the food, right? So most people in their 40s likely remember that. Um, so in summary, Ozempic, Mounjaro, they are basically designed to enhance what your body is already supposed to do. And in turn can help people feel more in control of the food that they are consuming, right? So that's the science in a very Emma-like way. Obviously, there is a shit ton more to that science, but I don't actually think it's needed to go into in any greater detail here. If you want, you can find all the information that you need on even the websites of the injections themselves. Now, the reason why, so when these drugs were created for people that were living with chronic obesity or they were living with type 2 diabetes, one of the big wins, I suppose, of type 2 diabetes is being able to lose weight, but a lot of people really struggle. When you're living with chronic obesity, we all know it's like, oh yeah, just lose weight. And it's not always as easy as that. There's so much that we actually don't know about obesity and about the challenges that people face trying to lose weight. So when these were created, these were really an effective way of helping people lose weight, especially a significant amount of weight. And the risk of living with chronic obesity, the risk of having type 2 diabetes is quite high. There are huge side effects. We all know about being the risk of certain cancers increases exponentially when we are overweight. We know that chronic heart conditions can happen when we are living with obesity. We know the extra pressure that it puts on joints, ligaments. We know all of this, right? So the benefits of losing weight are huge for people in this category. And when we can combine those weight loss injections with a healthy lifestyle, making sure we're eating the right nutrition, not just less food, that is really going to help counterbalance some of the risks, right? So we also see improved blood sugar control, and that can be especially effective for women with insulin resistance, which can be something that can increase as we get older. And we notice people feeling less hungry, less cravings, makes them feel more in control, and helps them feeling like a lot of people really struggle with inverted commas diets because they have gone through their life with this belief that a diet, inverted commas, is all about deprivation. It's all about over restriction. And the minute that you start putting yourself into that place of over restriction and deprivation, it is pretty much guaranteed that at some point that person is going to succumb to cravings or, feeling like they've fucked it because they've gone out and had a chippy, right? When in actual fact, if you're coaching habits and behaviors rather than just diet, then actually that we need to change our beliefs about that version of a diet. And for a lot of people, these injections offered a really convenient way to do it. Like we've all heard about, what was it, Alia, the tablets that were they still do get prescribed, but they helped with fat distribution. And a lot of people were complaining that, if they had to pass wind, it would result in a follow through, shall we say, because the fat is exiting the body through that way. So it's a convenient way. So there is benefits. They are actually quite a well needed drug for people with certain conditions. Now, of course, with most medications, there are always downsides, there are always risks, there are always challenges. And I'm going to go through some of them that are known and also some of the anecdotal stuff that I'm seeing as well. So we know that because of the effect, because all the changes here are within the digestive system, this is going to have a knock-on effect with digestive system. So that means like a lot of people experience nausea, actual vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, bloating. And for a lot of people, that can be so disruptive that it's really not worth it for them. And for a lot of people, like I was talking to a woman, who has not had a solid poo for over a year while she's been on these injections, right? Common sense tells you that can't be good for you. Now, if you think about where hormones are secreted in the gut. So if we have got gut disruption, that is potentially going to be impacting hormone optimization. And we know that when we are in a period of perimenopause and our hormones are fluctuating and declining, we haven't actually seen an awful lot of studies or research about that at this stage. So that's probably the biggest side effect is the digestive disruption. The other downside is financial. Yeah, that is a big one. Now, I am seeing these injections advertised from anywhere between £99 and £299. And it does boil my piss that they are getting marketed on price, like as the cheapest, race to the cheapest. That upsets me. I hate the marketing around these from in the private sector. I hate it. It just absolutely infuriates me. Now, these medications are available on the NHS. However, and I'm not sure if this is just NHS Scotland at the moment, and this will change, is that they are only getting prescribed to people that have a BMI of over 30 or a BMI of over 27, but as long as they have another condition that could be positively impacted by these injections, like type 2 diabetes, like insulin resistance. And some people are absolutely not getting prescribed them at all. And that could be because of they are on different medications or they've got different diagnoses. So they are only available with a prescription, whether that is private or NHS, right? So if you get offered an injection from your pal or offered to buy one without going through a prescribed process, run a fucking mile away, like as fast as you can, right? Do not. There's I saw an article, I think it was a lady in Manchester. She had two children and she'd been taken, it wasn't injections, it was something, she'd been declined injections and she'd bought something else from a friend of hers and she died. And it's just horrific. It's absolutely horrific. Now that's just one story. We know there could be other things. We don't know that's in the newspaper. Obviously, I don't know her medical records or anything like that. But just if you are going to do anything, do it officially. Pinky promise. Thank you. Good. So yeah, they can be expensive. They are going to mount up. And that then brings me to the next point about the injections are going to work while you're using them, but you can't use them forever. So the one thing that concerns me is that these injections work best with a lifestyle change. And yeah, while you're on them, you're going to be eating less food, portion size, you're going to be eating more regular meals, you're going to stop cravings and binging. But when you're not taking that medication, all of those habits and behaviors will come back if you don't change them. So there is absolutely, and this is one of the other things I did quite a lot of research. I investigated, that sounds really like panorama. I looked closely at some of the big hitters. I'm not going to name them, but I looked at some of the big hitters and they all advertise that they provide coaching. And I asked what that coaching was. There is no coaching. The coaching is a message. How you doing? That's not coaching. There is no follow-up, there is no accountability, there is no habit change, etc., etc. So that's my concern, is that we all know, you've all probably done a diet, Weight Watchers, Slimming World, Lighter Life, Cambridge, whatever, and yeah, it's good, and you lose the weight, and then you go back to normal and the weight goes all back on, and that happens 90% of the time. My fear is, and we're starting to see this happening now because it was about this time last year that more general population people were getting these injections before before supply got cut off and now they're back up again. Seeing people that were doing them, they lost a good couple of stone, happy days, really delighted, but they came off them before just because they were like, I've reached my goal and that's fine. And now seeing the weight coming back on, the cravings happening, the bad habits and back in again. So there is a need for the behavior change and the nutritional education in order to, once the weight's off and the medication stops, you've got the tools and the strategies and the new habits to go alongside it. Because otherwise it's just a really expensive diet and I don't want that for anyone. Anyway, and the other thing, if we have Um, if we're in perimenopause, there are other hormonal things, as you know, that are going on. So, this medication is not going to change your sleep. This is not going to change your brain fog. This is not going to change your mood swings. It's not going to change the identity stuff that goes on during perimenopause. So there's like, it's not just about the weight. And we have to think about all the other things that are contributing to the brain fog, the mood swings, the identity stuff, and still address them because you're getting older whether you like it or not. These things are still going to happen, and it's not just about the weight, it's about the long-term health. It's about making sure that we are building that muscle mass back up. It's about making sure that we are eating, we have positive nutritional habits so that we are our bones aren't going to crumble when we're 65. It's about making sure that we're getting the nutrients needed to optimize our gut health, especially if you're taking the medication, the injections. Your gut health is going to be impacted with the side effects. So that side of things is not tackled by the injections at all. And that's the bit that when I'm working with clients and when I am, I suppose, talking about what it is that I do to people that are considering it, it can be a joined up approach and it should be a joined up approach. Anyway, the the other things, one of the I do a lot of mindset work, as you know, it's more psychology led weight loss, psychology led health changes, so we can tackle the identity stuff that I mentioned before. But also, a lot of my clients come to me because they have been they are quite an all or nothing type mentality, not just in their bodies and their weight loss attempts in the past, but in a lot of things that they do. They want they want to do everything perfectly. They want to do everything right. They want to be in control of everything. And that's just the type of people that, you know, I want to work with because they are quite similar to myself. So a lot of people say, oh, it's not the right time to do this. And it's because they're waiting for the right time to be perfect. And there is no right time. There is no perfect right time. We know that. So one of the things that I am seeing, which is about this quick fix mentality, it's about this all or nothing, right? Oh, I can do this. And subconsciously, right? Most of my clients, most of my audience, you yourself will probably say out loud, I don't want another quick fix. I want to do it right. I want to do it healthy. But secretly, subconsciously, you're going, just wave the magic wand. I just want this weight off. Life will be easier when this weight is off. And so it does create that illusion of it being a shortcut, of it being a quick fix. But most people are not overweight just because of the food. Most people are overweight because of the stress, the emotional eating, the lack of movement, the not knowing the right quantities of the right food to eat, right? So that's the things that we need to fix, because if we can fix that, then we fix the output. So the body is, I suppose, an output of what your inputs are. It's a physical representation of what you're doing. And if you can control what you're doing, then the physical representation is going to change. So it's not a shortcut, because the inner work still needs to get done around the stress management, around the emotional eating, around the identity fix, around the beliefs that you overeat because it's in your genes, or because food's a soother for you, etc., etc., etc. The other concerning bit is about the social pressures. I actually felt that we had turned a bit of a corner when it comes to the culture around our bodies, and how, a lot of it's music to my ears when people saying, actually, do you know what? I don't want to be skinny. I don't want to be thin, but I want to be healthy. I want to look fit. I want to be fit. I want to look healthy. But I think there's an attraction of this quick fix mentality of, I can lose a shit ton of weight really, really quickly. And that's quite scary, because then it makes me question, did anything change? Has anything changed? And yeah, I've got a heap of clients. Most of my clients are not on these injections, and they are, I want to be healthy. I want to be strong. I want to live longer. I want to be able to wipe my own arse when I'm old. I want to be able to drive myself to the shop. I want to be able to put my tins of beans away all by myself. And we need to it's not just body composition, it's not just the weight. It's about, are you optimizing your muscles? Are you maximizing your bone density? So the misinformation that's out there is quite scary. We all know social media is completely unregulated. We all know people can say anything they want and have people believe them. And that's why I'm doing this, because this is the facts. We know this to be true. So I suppose it's just like, be mindful of what you're seeing, because there is so much misinformation, and it's that whole societal thing about, are we still getting pressured as women to want to be skinny? That's a big question. That's probably another podcast, to be honest. One of the other things that I've seen, and this is just in the last few months, is the shame that women are feeling who have lost weight with the injections or come off the injections and put it back on again. I see this with people that have done coaching before. I do work with quite a few clients who have been with other coaches, and the weight has gone on. And you know what? Like, that's okay. Life happens. We can retrain our subconscious mind. We can do our identity shifts and do all the things. But see, when you have a big life change, like a divorce, like you're grieving, like you're you're like, you give up your job, you go and retrain, right? These are huge impact in life things that can happen to anyone and will happen to most people, but that can almost recalibrate you back to where you were before you started coaching. So a lot of people feel shame that they've invested money in something and then it doesn't work any longer, and that can happen with these weight loss injections. I see it with people that have gone through bariatric surgery. I've seen it with people that have done coaching before, that they're like, oh, I did do really well, but then X, Y, and Z happened, and I feel really ashamed that I'm having to have this conversation, which is really counterproductive, because like, success and failure is not binary. Like, it's on a scale. So if you're listening to this and this makes sense to you, like, please, I know it's easy for me to say, do not feel ashamed, right? That's easy to say. But if you have tried something, you have tried something that most people haven't tried. So, it's all about progress, not perfection. There you go, better, not best. Right. So, um, the advice that I want people to come away with from this is not, you should do this or not do this. Quite frankly, this sounds blunt. I don't care if you do it or not do it. If you're doing it, do it the right way, do it officially, do it with medical oversight. Do not buy drugs. It's the equivalent of buying stuff for the guy in the pub selling socks or selling steaks. Oh, here's an interesting one. I was in Edinburgh yesterday and I was walking down the street with my wee boy, and this guy kind of came out this shop doorway. It was like the shop was not boarded up, but it was vacant, and he came skulking out with this freezer bag, the ones that you get in Sainsbury's, and they've got the foil on the side, and he kind of sidled up and he opened the bag and he's like, "Want to buy a steak?" I'm like, no, gads. Anyway, right. So if you're gonna take these injections, or if you're not gonna take these injections, these are the things you still need to do. You need to work on your habits. So yeah, the injections are going to kickstart weight loss, but it's the habits. We are the sum of our habits. It's the habits and the behaviors that are going to be the things that keep the weight off. If you don't change your habits, if you don't change your behaviors, if you don't change your beliefs, it is just an expensive diet, okay, with potential health implications, with the fact that you can't poo, right? So prioritize, whether you're taking them or not, prioritize small, sustainable, drip fed, incremental changes, like drinking more water, getting more steps, eating more protein, getting more nutrients in, maximizing your sleep. Like I've got my fundamentals, I've got my Eat Move Win fundamentals. They're in all my 90-day programs, because it's habits and behaviors that make the difference, right? The other thing, looking at digestion. So obviously we know that there can be gastric issues, so focusing on digestion. So making sure that you're getting enough fruit and veg, making sure that you're eating fiber-rich foods, making sure that you're reducing processed foods, making sure you're drinking enough water to make sure that you're going to stay regular with your pooping. Consider bloating, all of these kind of things, eating slow, I always, whenever I say hydration or water, it means I have to take a drink. The other thing to do is make sure you're monitoring your progress, not just getting excited about, oh, I've lost 5 pounds this week. That's a lot, right? That's a lot. And when we lose weight, one of the things that is happening is if we're losing weight, just weight on the scales, and we're not doing it in the right way, we're going to lose muscle mass as well as fat. Okay. Now, muscle mass, as you know, as I said earlier, muscle mass is depleting as we get older. It's a natural part of the aging process. We lose about 10% of our muscle mass every decade from when we hit 30, right? We know that people carrying a lot of body fat are at risk of all these conditions. The same applies to people that are carrying little muscle mass. Muscle mass is going to be the thing that stops you from falling over on an icy pavement. Muscle mass is going to be the thing that's going to help you get up from that icy pavement when you're old. Muscle mass is going to be what means you can sit on and off the toilet by yourself. It means you can wipe your own arse when you're older. It means that you can put your shopping away, get in your car, drive. When we are losing muscle mass, if we're not getting the right nutrients, if we're not doing the right movement, our bone density is going to decrease as well. We know like osteoporosis, things like that are on the increase because of our nutrition. So getting the right nutrition means that we're going to get the right micronutrients as well as macronutrients. Micronutrients just means vitamins and minerals. If we have weakened bones, see when you fall over on that pavement that you can't get yourself back up on from because you've got little muscle mass, that's when your hip breaks, that's when your shoulder breaks, that's when your mobility is fucked, right? So it's not just the number in the scales. Looking at overall things like, your bone density is important, but more importantly, you need to do the workouts as well. It's not just the number in the scales. That's the full makeup of all your body, like the amount of blood that you've got in, the amount of water that you've got in your system, what you had for dinner last night, whether you need a poo, whether you need a pee, bones, muscles, organs, everything is the weight on the scales. So I urge you that you really do need to consider increasing muscle mass. Otherwise, that's going to be a really noticeable, big negative impact for you in 10, 15 years' time. So please, 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 pinky promise me that you will do the workouts too. All right. If you're working with a coach, like as I said, I've got a few clients. So when they are going, right, okay, do you know what? I like this. I'm happy here. Have a strategy in place for coming off them. You can do it cold turkey if you want, but really, it's up to you. It's entirely up to you. You can come off them cold turkey, you can taper them off, but think of it as the whole thing is a long-term journey. This is not about how much weight you can lose in time for the holidays. This is not about, if I can just get this 2 stone off, I'll be happy. Yeah, you might be happy when you get the 2 stone off, but you're not going to be happy when the 2 stone goes back on again. So it's about reframing, thinking long-term, having that level of self-worth to go, right, if I'm putting the investment into this, I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to do it. And, if you can afford it, I highly recommend hiring a coach at the same time because that will reframe your entire mindset. It will reframe your entire behaviors. It will reframe all your actions, all your habits, so that when you do come off them, whether by cold turkey or tapering, you know exactly what to do to keep the weight off rather than just going, oh, well, this is me now. No, it's not you now. There's identity anchoring, there's future self work, there are proper goal setting, emotional based goal setting, understanding the trust in the process of what you need to do. So it's not just as simple as jabbing the thing in your butt, I'm assuming. I don't know, where is it? Somebody can tell me. I had seen people on TikTok saying that it's better to do it in your arm than your belly. But anyway, that's TikTok. I don't know if that's true. And also recognize, dial in with how you are feeling, not just how you are looking or not just what the scale says. Because if we always focus on the scale as our primary win, there's so much more to it. Like, obviously, you've got to look at fitness, you've got to look at sleep, you've got to look at energy levels. All of these things are where we should be putting the focus of wins, not just scale weight. So I hope that has helped. I can't even see how long that's been on. I wanted to do that quite short and sweet, but I haven't. This is, as I said, this opened up a lot of questions. I posted this in a group and it opened up some actual bitchy comments, I may add, from a very well-known group that I am in that I was totally taken aback from, about, no, it should only be a medical professional that's advising people on this. Like, no, actually, I don't agree with that, because most medical people don't actually get a lot of nutrition training. They don't actually get any behavior change training. Yes, they might be qualified to prescribe based on somebody's profile, etc., etc., and that's fine. I'm not here to recommend the drug or prescribe. That's not what I do. I'm not medical. But as I have mentioned, this all comes down to our actions, our habits, our behaviors, our mindset, and our identity. If we don't switch them, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter at all. So bear that in mind. I actually had a conversation with my own GP a number of months ago about the amount of nutrition training that she got, and as part of her gazillion years of medical training. And you've got to remember, like, from if you're going to the doctor for weight loss, yeah, absolutely, they will help you if you need these medications and if you fit the criteria, but they're not going to hold you accountable. They're not going to tell you what to do and how to do it, because that's not their job. It is my job, it's not their job. So if you have tried these injections and they work for you, didn't work for you, reach out to me, talk to me, send me an email, let me know your experiences, because the more I know about what people are going through, the more I can help the people that I am helping already. So I would actually appreciate, and if you don't want to send, can you do it anonymously? If you tell me, like, well, actually, I'm going to treat everything as anonymous, so you can send it to me and I'm not going to put your name to it or anything like that. But just be mindful, you're all grown-ups. You all know deep down what your goals are. Yeah, it can seem hard to go, oh, right, I know my clients sometimes go, this can, like, making the decision to do something can feel really hard, because it's just another thing to do on top of everything. So the weight loss injection sounds attractive because you don't need to think about it. You do still need to think about it. And that's where the problems are going to happen. So midpoint, maybe June time, 2025, it's going to be tough. There's going to be a lot of people coming off these because they're now at their goal weight, and they're going to find that they can't maintain because they've not actually done the work needed. So that is probably the biggest red light I can give you, is you still need to do the work. If you want, like all the programs that I do, I've got clients that are one-to-one on the Happy Body Project one-to-one that are on weight loss injections, and I've got clients who are doing the hybrid version, because it's all about new health-based habits. All we do with these clients is we change the stuff about calories. That's all we do, because everything else is health-based. Everything else is future focused. So anyway, right. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share, and let me know what you thought of this, because it is such a big topic. A lot of people, there's a lot of opinions. As I say, I actually don't care if you take them or not. That's your decision. You're a grown-up. However, I do care about you put in the effort now, and but not like you just take the injections now and don't put in the effort, and then it comes up and bites you in the ass. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the weight loss injections. And I haven't decided what is going to go in the show notes, but there should be a link for something. Don't know yet. But click the link, get whatever it is, and I will speak to you in the next episode. I'll speak to you later. And just like that, we have spiced up another episode of Piss Off Perimenopause and the musings of a bullshit queenager. Massive shout out and a huge thank you for hanging out with me today. I really hope you've been entertained. And remember, don't be shy, hit that subscribe button. And until next time, keep those heels high and standards higher. Remember, it's all about glowing, growing, and downright owning it. So catch you on the flip side, and don't forget to click the link in the show notes to get your freebie.